All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of CS News. Today I'm talking about the RMRs. Sorry it's been a little bit. I've been at college, just been now kind of settled in, ready to get going. I have a different mic, so that's kind of why it sounds like that, but hopefully more videos will be posted soon. But today I'd like to just kind of talk about the RMRs and how more specifically, the American and the Asian RMRs, the Europe RMR is about to start, I think today. But yeah, let's get right into it. So the American RMRs had 7 placements, and the Asian RMRs had 3. This is just due to how they placed. Each region did in last major. I think 3 or 4 spots were taken away from Europe, and then those were also given to the Americas and Asia. First of all, let's talk about the Americans RMR. And first of all, the big surprise is wild card. Obviously, they weren't even supposed to qualify, and they went 3-0. They did have a pretty light schedule other than the Liquid game. Pain is also a pretty tough team to play, but they played well. They're best of ones, so really anything could happen. And then they played 9Z, who I'll talk about in a minute, but then they beat them pretty convincingly on a 2-0. But yeah, the Stanislaus team is qualified, and it's nice to see him back at the major. Obviously, MIBR as well, going 3-0. A bit of a big surprise. Again, they had a pretty easy schedule with the odd, complexity. That was an upset for sure, and the fact that they 2-0'd them was pretty big. But yeah, both those teams were my surprise 3-0 picks. I thought it would have been a team like Liquid or Furia that would have qualified 3-0, or maybe even M80, who didn't make it, by the way, and we'll talk about that as well in a minute. But yeah, those were the 3-0s. The 3-1s were Liquid, Complexity, and Pain. Um, Liquid, as I said previously, again had an upset loss to Wildcard in that opening round. I think it was 9-3. They were up at half, and just choked the game away. So they easily could have won that and gone 3-0, but I guess they didn't. But they played outstanding. Other than that, they had a bit of a hiccup against Furia, obviously, because Furia is probably the best team in Brazil right now. Um, or they didn't look like it at this tournament, but I still think they are. And they played them in the third day, I think, and won 2-1. So again, a pretty convincing 2-1, but it was still close. Something I'd like to point out is the form of Yakinder and Ultimate. Let's just go to this Furia match. They're both the lowest rated as is, but um, if we go to Anubis here, and something we had seen throughout the whole tournament is Yakinder's starting to look like his old self on Anubis. Ultimate as well is looking very, very well. I think this was his bad map. I think both maps, or the other 2 games that they won, he was one of the top rated players for Liquid. If I'm not mistaken, let me just check right here. They played Bestia, which, again, easy win. Yeah, 1.87 rated from Ultimate, but again, Yakinder, still kind of the bottom of the leaderboard there. But again, it was on Anubis, but we are seeing the team Liquid being a bit more together and joined, which is good. We obviously like to see that, and Liquid has kind of surprised everyone. They weren't supposed to be this good this fast, and they were good, and then they kind of fell off over the past few events. But they've been looking decent, and it's good to see that. Complexity. Uh, Lost to MIBR again 2-0 in the best of 3, but then came back and beat M80. The team's looking good as is. I don't think there's not much to really talk about. Elite just hit his, I think, 14th major, so that's something that's pretty big. But yeah, they're looking good. And then Payne, a kind of a big surprise, but it's good to mention Snow, who is probably the best player on the team without a doubt. He played great. He had it doesn't look like he had, yeah, it doesn't look like he had the best rating at the tournament, but he is very, very good, and in my opinion, probably the best player on that team. But yeah, he played great. They only played 5 maps throughout the whole tournament, so we didn't get to see a lot of him, but he's been great, and the whole team played incredible this in tournament. Um, and I'd like to talk about Tomazin for a second as well on Beastia. This guy is absolutely crazy. They did finish 2-3. I did watch a game against M80 last night. I do have a bit of a cold, so I couldn't get to watch all the games, but that's one of the games I did watch, and that was a very close game. I'm pretty sure it ended in overtime on the third map. but Thomason has really showed everyone that he's here to stay. He's a great, great player, and we should be looking forward to see more of him soon. And hopefully he'll play better here, you know, um, in the coming months. And I really hope to see him get picked up by another org. Some other big storylines, and again, we'll talk about the next two teams that qualified. Imperial qualified as that one of those last two teams with Furia in a seventh and sixth category. Furia should have was a bit of a scare. They had to play this tiebreaker match against M80, and it was a kind of a sad to see M80 fall again at that last hurdle, as it did last major. I think they deserved to go, but they didn't. So that's kind of tough to see. They did have somewhat of a tough schedule going into the last few matches. They obviously got upset by Boss. It's a best of one. You can't really predict that. Red Canids, very good team with Cold on them. They played close. They still won. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean M80, they kind of they weren't kind of playing like themselves. I think at sometimes this tournament, and that kind of shows against the complexity game as well. But it's kind of sad to see them go. But yeah, the six teams or seven teams we have is MIBR, Wildcard, Liquid, Complexity, Pain, Imperial, and Furia out of the Americas. 9Z, another big surprise. They went 2-0 and then lost all three matches, so sad to see them in that way. Let's talk about the uh, Asia RMR. The big surprise for me was Rare Atom. They qualified because Talon upset FlyQuest is really the only reason I think that. They still played phenomenal, but I think it's a big surprise that they made it, and they're the only Chinese team to make it. I don't think they're full Chinese, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're four-fifths Chinese, but they're the only Chinese to make it to the only Chinese major. So I guess that's exciting. The Mongols obviously qualified, and FlyQuest did as well. But obviously we had OhnePixel's team Drillers. They played really good. Um, it's going to be sad to see them not playing anymore. But Waro 2K played really, really good this tournament. He's someone I've kind of been following recently, and honestly, they could have won both these games against Mongols and FlyQuest to qualify. They took a map off Mongols, which was very surprising. Same with FlyQuest, they played incredible. And this FlyQuest game was incredible to watch. That ancient game was honestly, whoever wins this game is going to go to the major, no doubt in my mind. I had no doubt that, they were going to either beat Lin Vision or Talon, whoever win that game. Um, and it showed. They played great against both teams. Obviously, again, the standout player being Waro 2K. He had a bad performance against the Mongols, but the map they did win on Mirage, he played phenomenal. Um, and obviously this lineup's now going to break up, but I think we should see Waro on a team here very soon, as he's showed himself and proven himself to be um, a good IGL and Opper. And I mean, Drill's probably had the hardest tournament out of literally anyone. They played Lead Vision first round, who, in my opinion, could have also qualified. But they didn't. They obviously met FlyQuest in the lower bracket finals and lost. And then they won that very close. It probably should have been like 13-7, but they kind of choked at the end and still came home with it. And then they played Mongols, obviously 2-1 against a top 10 team in the world. That's pretty impressive for a team that's only been together for about 6 months, um, on and off paper. And then they played FlyQuest and had one of the closest games I think I've seen in a while. So it is sad for them to see them go through. But FlyQuest looks great. Dexter is looking like a new IGL. Mongols obviously looking solid as they could be. That the only blemish is that first map against Mirage, which again the drillers choked and still won, but that kind of gave Mongols a bit of a fire, and they obviously just destroyed the drillers on the next two maps, and that makes sense. So yeah, we'll see how that ends up, but those are the RMRs that have happened so far. We do have the Europe RMRs going on. Um, I don't think the matches have been set up. Yes, they have. Never mind. Yeah, they're tomorrow for me. Or sorry, no, they're not tomorrow. They're in a week. So this one is tomorrow. The next ones are within a week. But um, in my opinion, locks Navi, Vitality, Maz phase to go through. I hope Falcons make it through so Simple can go to the major, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of. These are the really five locks that I see. I don't really see any other locks. Maybe Saw can make some upsets happen. Sangol looked good at Pro League, but that was a while ago, so we'll see what happens there. Like you could see a run from them. It's possible. Fanatics, um, we'll see what happens. They're playing Na'Vi first, so I don't expect them to go far, but we'll see. This is a really competitive one. The other one isn't as competitive in my mind. G2 and Spirit are obviously going to take it, and so is Internal Finer. I don't see them not qualifying. VP I think could have an upset, and I don't. They might qualify. I don't know yet. They're supposed to qualify, but I don't know if they will. Heroic's going to qualify. Astralis, something big to talk about them. Device is out, so we could see them not qualify. He's out till 2025 with some health reasons, so I wish him the best. Um, but we could see 3D Max make a run. NIP's been looking kind of bad recently, but I hope they qualify. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with this one. All I know is that G2, Spirit, Eternal Fire, and Heroic are going to qualify. That's all I can say about those ones. These haven't even started yet, so I wouldn't be too worried. But yeah, that's the RMRs. Um, Here's what we got so far at the major. Um, there's six more spots from the Europe RMR to be filled up, and then the rest of those that qualify from the Europe RMR go to the elimination stage. So a little bit unfair, some could say, but it's not really unfair that the Europe RMR gets to go directly to the final stage right before the playoffs. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. Um, let's hope Sangol makes it. As you can see, they're a bit hopeful. They've kind of made a run in the past month, so we'll see what ends up happening. I'm not making any calls yet, and maybe I'll make a video on that, updating you guys in the next, you know, when the Europe RMR's in. But happy major season. We'll see y'all back next time. Thank you. Bye bye.